Ever wanted to become a football agent? The John Viola Academy is an elite training and education program designed by world-class football agents to create world-class football agents. With online courses, personal mentoring and much more, the John Viola Academy provides you with every opportunity needed to achieve your dream career in the beautiful game as a football agent. Head to jvacademy.net/football friends or click the link in our show notes to book a demo call with the team and start your journey today.
Mine tonight, play per over.
Depends. Will your friend, the footballer, be there?
Oh, friend, football friend!
Oh, what a superb goal! Stefan Moore, that is extraordinary from Ben Garuccio.
You're listening to episode 6 of Football Friends with Ben Garuccio and Stefan Moore. Here's what to expect. Well, it's finally arrived. The national second tier has its first 8 confirmed participants. The boys go through the news and give their opinions. In the A-Leagues, Auckland are officially in. Are the boys on side with the American owners? Big ambitions for the New Zealanders. And direct from Socceroo's camp in Kuwait, Brandon Borrello joins us ahead of this week's massive Sydney Derby 36. All that and more coming up on Football Friends.
Hello guys, and welcome to another episode of Football Friends with Ben and Stef. We're back again for another episode. It's been the international break, so A-League news is a little bit quiet. We do have a little bit to talk about, and I'm joined here by Stef. Once again, he's back in Australia. He's touched down. He's back in Adelaide in his hometown. How you going?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been pretty crazy last week, just trying to pack up everything and make the flight to get back here. So successfully did that. The house is all boxed up, which is good. So now I'm just enjoying being back here, being back for quite a few days now, and it's nice to be home. There's no place better than Australia, that's for sure. The weather's been good, and hopefully it's only going to get hotter from here on out, and I'll be spending plenty of time in my mom's pool or down at Henley Beach working on my tan.
Yeah, you love Henley Beach. He's already. For those that don't follow him, he's already put up a few stories at Henley Beach. So, yeah, it's good. Obviously, Carla's pretty close to popping. So you have a baby soon. How's that been? How's it been being back?
Yeah, it's been, I think the smartest decision was coming back as quick as possible. So, we had a bit of a, I don't know if you call it a scare, but I guess a moment where we thought she might be going into labour the other day. But no, it's good. It's nice to be with her, to be in these last couple of weeks, to spend a bit of quality time before our lives change completely. So it's really, really good. And the break of the A-League has allowed you to get your keys for your new place, and you've been backyard blitz, demolishing everything.
Backyard blitz, absolute backyard blitz. We got 2 days off for the first time in I don't know how long, and did not feel like 2 days off. I was demolishing wardrobes, taking out a fireplace. So yeah, a little bit going on in our lives at the moment. But no, it's been good. It's exciting times. Me and Jazz, it's our first house here in Melbourne. So no, it's been nice to get the keys and hopefully be moved in before Christmas if all goes to plan.
Yeah, good stuff. Great timing. Jay obviously knew that you're getting the keys, and he gave you a couple of days so you could get to work.
A couple of days off. Yeah, I don't know if it was like that. I reckon if he knew I was going to be demolishing everything, he would have said, "Nah, you just come in and train. You're going to be worse off."
Yeah, I think his family in Adelaide his dad works or owns the place, and they have it's not plumbing, it's like taps and stuff. I think I'm not 100% sure. I remember my mum
after bloody give him a call, try and get some freebies.
I'm pretty sure my mum ran into his dad or someone at it when I was doing my places here in Adelaide. So have to find out, and if you can get mates rates, every dollar in your bank account is better saved. That's for sure.
Anyway, it's looking a bit slim after this house, but that's a story for another day. Let's chat football, and obviously no A-League this weekend, or no A-League men's. Obviously there was still A-League women's. International breaks here. It's a quiet sort of time for football, but there's been a little bit of news. The NST development, we know now what's going on. There's 8 teams to begin with, Victorian and New South Wales only, which was probably to a little bit of people's dismay. But what are your thoughts on that? And obviously it's exciting times for football here in Australia.
Yeah, I think that next step, we found out 2 weeks ago that they were going to announce the teams. Everybody was kind of waiting to see who they would choose. They've now obviously chosen those 8. And I think, it makes a lot of sense to have more teams from New South Wales and Victoria because they have a lot more funding behind it. They have more sponsors. It means the travel's down. They've still said before it starts in 2025, they want to get 2 to 4 more teams, which supposedly they don't reckon they'll have a problem in doing it. I'm sure it just comes down to probably ironing out exactly, what the allocations are going to be and how the system's going to work. Where now you've got 8 teams that have committed, you've got a bit more of an outline, and hopefully that gives the confidence for, a couple of teams from Queensland. And I think there was a team, South Hobart, was it as well? It'd be great to get them in. If an Adelaide team could get in, that would be unbelievable. So you do have a few more states kind of represented. But you know what? It's not going to be perfect to start off with, but here we are with, a second division. And on the side note, you've now just had the Auckland announcement as well, which we'll touch on a bit afterwards. So it's positive. There's so many more players now and coaches and everybody involved in football that they've got more jobs now. They can actually try and do this as a full-time profession. So what were your first thoughts of the teams that were announced? Any ones that you were kind of excited about them getting the nod?
I think there's most of them in there are historical clubs in Australian football. If you look at the old, obviously NSL, Wollongong Wolves, Marconi Stallions, South Melbourne, Preston's obviously a massive one because, they've got the backing. They've shown that they've got also the support from fans and things like that. So there's some really exciting ones. Obviously us boys being from Adelaide, I would have loved to have seen an Adelaide City. But you got to see it from sort of both sides of the coin. Obviously we would love to see other clubs from other states, but if they're not there financially right now, infrastructure wise, then it makes sense that they're not in it. So I think it's probably a job for, those sorts of clubs, especially ambitious clubs like Adelaide City. You spoke about South Hobart, getting everything in line so that hopefully by the time it does start, they maybe can come in. And I think, you do want wide representation. You want Australia-wide representation in the NST. So it will be interesting to see the other teams that come in. But no, I think it's a great step forward. I think there's no one can complain that it's not a good step for football in this country. But it's exciting times, and obviously, as you said, as you just mentioned, we've had the Auckland news as well. That's pretty fresh. Owners come, Bill Foley. It's exciting. There's another team now in New Zealand.
Yeah, I think whether or not Auckland was the right choice or not, I'm sure demographic-wise, population, they've kind of signalled that in Canberra, as they've said, which is great, and I've got no issue with that. And now they've got the owner that's committed. There was apparently a couple of consortiums there that were pretty keen on it, so that's really exciting. And I know if it's in New Zealand, they're probably not looking to just go over and get one in Australia, but you never know if they were the strong bidders as well. He's got a couple of teams, so it makes sense why they've chosen Bill. And hopefully he's going to be chucking out the dollar bills to spend on the team and actually invest, because, the Americans, and when I was watching the Beckham documentary, you saw, when the MLS started, it was like, when Beckham got there, it was horrible. Yeah. I actually couldn't believe how poor everything looked like. The quality of the players, obviously the stadiums, just everything about it. But you heard the, I don't know if it was the LA Galaxy president at the time or whoever it was, but he was like, we want to be the best league in the world. And let's be serious, they're never going to be the best league in the world. But that ambition and that, I guess, vision that they had for their league, look at what it's at now. And I know people in Australia will say, well, they're still a closed franchise. You know what? They're a closed franchise, but their licenses are going for 500 million. They've got, 30 odd teams. Like, they're filling stadiums. They're getting massive crowds, record TV deals. So yes, I think we can get that promotion and relegation. But if we also, can grow the league as it is right now, with new owners coming in that have deep pockets that are willing to spend, it's only going to entice more people, possibly from America, to come over and take the other licenses that the APL are going to be looking at selling.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And he's obviously got a few franchises, but, Bournemouth, for me, that's the biggest league in the world, the English Premier League. He owns a club there. So it just goes to show his ambition. And obviously you already said it off air, sort of what he came out and said. It comes across as very ambitious, and we hope that it is. As you said, you want players or you want owners that are coming in to do the right things, that are invested in the right way to help grow football and grow their club. So I think it's positive signs. We want more teams in the league. We want to be growing. We want to be, adding more teams in as the years go on. And NST is a good example of that. And now Auckland as well. So all positive news, not too much bad news to come out of the international break, which is exciting.
It gets interesting now as well, because you remember when MacArthur and Western United came in, like these two new teams, they come in and you got to think about it. There's 5 foreign spots. So besides that, though, for the players, like that's 18 players at each team, let's say 36 in total. That's a lot of new players now that need to be added. So for New Zealand, it's a bit different, of course, but the Aussies don't count as foreigners if they go and play there. So you kind of lose a bit of the depth in some of the other teams, where you might have been a squad player or, an okay player. You might be getting offered big contracts to go to Auckland, or if it's Canberra that comes in as the second team, so it becomes challenging now for even the current teams. They want to keep hold of their best players. And as a player, it could be like, well, I could get a bit of a payday here if I'm keen to go to Auckland. And even then for New Zealand players, it's great for them. And hopefully they can get a big name marquee. Like if they can get a foreign player, great. But you know what? You get someone like, I don't know, Chris Wood. He's on a lot of money at the moment, obviously playing in the Prem. But you know what? Maybe at the end of this year, I don't know how many years he's got on his contract. Maybe you can entice him to come back, and that's the person that you want to come back and kind of shape the club around, who help with the younger players, but he can be the face of it. So it's really, really exciting. And with the second division, I'm still it's still out there. We're not 100% sure, but I think, when you look at like some of the teams, even like South Melbourne, Preston, some of the crowds that Preston are getting in, they're in the second division in Victoria.
Yeah.
And people could complain that how are they getting in it? But, infrastructure-wise and crowd-wise, they're getting like a couple thousand, 2,000-3,000 to a game. They're really trying to commercialize everything they're doing. So I reckon like a South Melbourne Preston, in their stadiums, their boutique stadiums, if they can do a bit of renovations, they're selling it out 3,000-4,000. Same with South Melbourne. What does that hold? Like 8,000?
I'm not sure, yeah, but they've done it in the past in the Cup. They've pulled in big crowds for Cup games against, I think we actually played, when we were at Melbourne City, I'm pretty sure we played there. So it's, it's exciting times, but let's not muck around. We've got a guest waiting, big Brandon Borrello, a good friend of both of ours. So let's get him in.
Still Brandon Borrello trying to bend it. He's done it. Borrello. That is a stunner. Absolutely stunning from Brandon Borrello.
Our Guest of the Week segment is brought to you by the John Viola Academy. Head to jvacademy.net/football friends to start your football agent journey.
And here we have our third guest, Brandon Borrello. The last two have been Joe Gauchi, who had an absolute blinder the weekend afterwards, and Mitch Duke, who's then scored a double against Bangladesh. So you're in line for a good performance against Palestine, I think, Borrello.
Can't wait, mate. I need one.
You did all right in the last game. Scored a goal.
Yeah, it's all right. One's better than none.
Exactly. So how is it over there? You're in Kuwait at the moment.
Yeah, it's been chilled. I mean, I'm not sure if you know what camp's like. Have you ever been in one, Morky?
Fucking hell.
Nah, it's
I'll tell you what, his head is as bigger ever. You know what you used to say to me? Do you remember what you used to say to me?
I don't actually.
Overconfidence leads to poor performance.
That's the one, brother.
And that's you. So you're gonna be chasing shadows on Wednesday night.
I chase shadows as it is anyway, mate. Just ask when we played Benny. All I did was run.
Well,
but no,
when you won 5-0 and you scored 5 goals in a half.
But no, it's been really good, boys. It's like a breath of fresh air when you come into camp. It sort of breaks up the time at Clubland, and then coming in, seeing the familiar faces of the boys. You've got a few characters here, so it's good like that. You come in, you're away for 10 days, 12 days, whatever it is, and you got you know what it's like. You don't have much time to sort of prepare with each other, so you just do as best as you can. But leading into that Bangladesh game, it was clear, mate. We were going to have the ball, and we wanted to convert chances. So, it was just good to, get that 7-0 scoreline, especially for Arnie as well. That was his history-making game. Most cap coach of the Socceroo. So to put in a performance like that was even, yeah, icing on the cake.
Yeah, we had Dukey on, and I don't know if you heard it. You did message me and say you listened to the episode. He said he was going to score a hattie, and he's got 2 in the first half. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's coming to life. Come out for the second half, and Arnie's fucking, hey, you're on the bench. You're on the bench. He didn't listen to the podcast. He didn't listen. Fucking hell.
Told him to calm down. Dukey, relax, mate.
Can't believe it,
but
man.
he was like, the boys were hungry, to be fair. And then, I'm spewing, scored 1 goal. Well, not spewing, but scored 1 goal. Took me 70-odd minutes. Maka comes on, scores a hat-trick in 45 minutes. Just make sure he knows anything you could do, I could do better. So it was a bit like that.
He put up, didn't he?
Mate, you got to be in the right place at the right time.
You do it year after year. It's a skill. It's a skill.
Yeah, it's a genuine skill. You can say maybe after the first season where he knocks in 10, okay, you know what? And then he goes and knocks in 13, 20, blah, blah, blah. He just does it over and over again, mate. He's a freak.
Yeah, top. If it was that easy, everyone would be a centre forward, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I've probably scored a few more goals already this season, I reckon.
You're chasing too much. You're sprinting. You're sprinting back, chasing the 6 or the fullback, and then by the time the ball gets into the box, you're blowing.
I'm doing the graph work, mate. As long as the team wins, I don't care.
He's on the goal line trying to stop because Tate Russell's scoring. He's thinking, my left back, my right back are both scoring. When you're getting outscored by Clisby and Tate Russell, you shouldn't be in there. You should not be in the Socceroos right now.
The boys are on fire. I said, you know what happened? Because we scored, I don't know if you remember, Benny, last year, I scored one against Hughes at home, and Amalfitano ran in front of Youngie, and they called it offside. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I said to him, I blasted him. I said, if it ever happens again, just run in the goal and stay in the goal. You're not offside. So I've literally just taken it. Well. Yeah, so a little bit of football IQ, boys.
Yeah. Let's get into it. Let's get into the actual interview and give people a bit of an insight into, I suppose, Brandon Borrello. Take us back. Obviously, look, our junior days, you were an Adelaide boy. I grew up, playing with you once we sort of got into the state teams and the NTC setups and things like that. Played with you a lot. I know a lot about you. And then obviously you made the move, or your family made the move back at that time, Big Lou, from Adelaide to Queensland. And then obviously you broke through at the Raw. So give everyone a bit of an insight into your sort of early days. And obviously you broke through with the Raw and how that was.
Yeah, so you pretty much nailed it, mate. Grew up in Adelaide, came from Salisbury Downs, played for Salisbury Villa, played for Modbury Jets, played for Western Strikers.
Rough area.
Yeah, the ends, mate.
Right. I remember those days when you're rocking up to play Modbury Jets, and I'm thinking, fuck, it's Borrello, it's Jacob Melling. He's going to kick me all day.
You know what? But we were thinking the same. Yeah, the spiky back with the fringe, mate. Oh, those were the days. But it was the exact same. We're thinking, we've got to go play Adelaide City now. It's Mork and Garuccio. So no, it was a bit like that. And then getting involved with the state teams. Where were we training? What was it? Underdale.
Underdale. Yeah, we used to train at Underdale. Yeah. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't good enough to make it back then. I was crying. I was crying at home while you guys were training. He was living in Underdale. He was living 2 seconds away. He was looking from his balcony. Can I come and train?
I'm over here, guys. No, don't worry, Steph. I saw all the off-season posts that you made at Underdale. That's where we used to train, huh?
Yeah, that's it.
But so I started there, went to the state teams, trained there, and then got accepted into Sassy. We had a decent team back then, didn't we? Just rattle off some names. Like, I left, AWA came, obviously, but we had Jake Halliday, Stephen Carley. Who else? There was some other... But, when I left, the boys won the league pretty much. So, it speaks a lot to my ability. I spent... Yeah, I spent, I think it was only a short term. I think I spent 6 months there. And then mum and dad packed up shop and moved for business reasons. They owned the Subway. They bought into the franchise in Queensland to move up closer to family.
Subway Socceroos.
Yes. Shout out.
That's why he's in there.
And then...
footlong meatball.
Yeah, Big Lou's still making the footlongs, mate. It's not changed. But yeah. So when that move happened, I got a transfer to the Queensland Academy of Sport. So I spent I think it was about 1.5, 2 years there before getting a shot at the Raw Youth team. Signed the standard youth deal back in the National Youth League. Spent 2 years there. Signed my what is it like the what are these scholarship deals? Yeah, scholarship deal
Yeah.
with Brisbane Raw for 2 years. And before signing the contract extension, there was sort of something in place with Kaiserslautern because at the time, I was playing well with Jamie McLaren, and he was going overseas as well. And yeah, made the move from Brisbane Raw to Kaiserslautern. He's gone to Darmstadt, and on my first day, the coach has gone, "You're not Jamie McLaren. You're not the one I wanted." I thought, "Oh fuck, what am I doing here?"
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a
shit.
violation.
Yeah. So it was kind of like, oh, that's your first introduction to European football. So yeah, sat on the bench for like the first 8 to 10 weeks, and then that trainer got sacked. So yeah, I hit form, started playing, and yeah, then went on to sign a contract with Freiburg. But in the meantime, tore my ACL. So Kaiserslautern got relegated. I got promoted, so to speak, to the first league. But I had that first year with Freiburg doing the rehab. Second year came back, started a couple games, and then the boys went on a run. I just couldn't get in the team. I wasn't good enough at the time, to be fair, with the players that we had at Freiburg in the Bundesliga. And then went out on loan to Dusseldorf. Didn't do too well there. There was, could say it was the fans, could say it was the loan deal. It just led to it was poor performance, to be fair. And then going to Dresden. So I came back to Freiburg from Dusseldorf, ended the loan, and then we asked Freiburg if we could mutually terminate the last year of my contract so I could go to Dresden in the second league. And went there. The coach at the time, Alexander Schmidt, top guy, showed a lot of belief in me. Played the first half of the season, then broke my foot. A little bit of a lazy challenge in training, broke my foot, out for 12 weeks. And then that coach got sacked in winter. And coming back in, new team, or not new team, but new coach with his new philosophy, couldn't get a sniff. And then we had a bad run towards the back end of the season, and we ended up getting relegated by Kaiserslautern, who were playing in the third league at the time. So it's just funny how football works. And then I'm left without a contract, and I'm thinking, oh, where can I go? Where can I go? What can I do? So it was like the German season was just starting pre-season, and I'm still without a club, and I'm sweating, mate. I'm going to the gym, trying to be positive, blah blah blah. But it's like, what it's like when you're off contract.
Yeah.
It's
Tough.
for some players it could be Christmas. For some players it could be an absolute nightmare. And that was the situation I was in at the time. And then Rude's obviously, or the boss, gave me a call, and just goes, "Brandon, I believe in you. Let's throw you a lifeline and see what happens. If you play well, why shouldn't you be getting picked for Socceroos again?" And so I'm like, all right. Within 3 days, I was back in Sydney and starting pre-season with the Wanderers, and the rest is sort of how it's gone. So yeah, it's been good.
A lot to unpack. We'll go back to a little bit in the younger years. Like, I think that's important. So when you're at Brisbane, we'll skip over the state teams because the coaches were no good back then. They were picking the wrong place anyway. So we don't need to touch on that. But you went up to Brisbane. Obviously, it's a new environment. You're at the QAS, then you go to Brisbane Raw, and it was John obviously as the coach, I think, if I'm correct, in the first team.
John was my last coach. So I actually got my debut. Well, I was at the club under Ange. Played a few preseason games with Ange, and then he obviously left. Mulvey came in, and Mulvey was the one that gave me my debut. He got sacked, and then Franz Tyson came in with Rado Vidicic. And then John came in and steadied the ship for a bit. So yeah, that was good. It was good.
Yeah. So with that, that's a lot of different coaches already. What was the big difference for you when you first kind of went from youth football into that first team football? And I guess you probably summed it up there by the amount of coaches changing. It's very cutthroat. But what was your first reactions? And did you think you were good enough straight away, or did it take a bit of time? And once you found your feet, what were the things that I guess made you be able to perform as well as what you did?
Definitely not, mate. I had zero confidence. You walk into a change room. Like, I've walked into a change room with like Jade North, Matty Mackay, Shane Stefanuto, Bessart Barisha, Thomas Broish. And I'm thinking, mate, after training, I got to go back to school, and and these guys are, you know, taking the piss out of your training. And it's like I'm rocking up in my school kit. Like there was no confidence at all. But I think the more often that I trained with the first team, coming from the youth team, and then going back down to the youth team, playing in the National Youth League, scoring a fair amount of goals, sort of built my confidence over time. So I was to be fair, like going into a new environment, I'm quite a shy person, but once I get comfortable, I'm quite out there, which is I guess normal in some aspects. But I found it really hard to sort of play my style of football, just breaking into the first team. Whereas I see players now, like young boys in our team, mate, they're coming in, they're trying to meg you, they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that.
Right.
I just think, you just want to snap them, don't you? You just want to put them on their ass and be like, nah, brother, go back to the change rooms. But like that's the type of confidence I wish I had back then. Maybe I'd be a different player. But I think it was. These days now, I think the culture's changed a bit. Like we try to pump up our younger players a lot more to make sure we get the best out of them, because we know just how good they can be. And I think the importance of the young boys coming through is massive. So, and you see now in the A-League they're getting a lot more of a chance, which is great. But yeah, for me, sort of had to fight my way through the team, not in a bad sense, but just toughen my skin up a little bit. So yeah, that happened, and then Mulvey gave me my first debut game. I think it was against, I can't even remember who it was against, but he took me on an away trip against Wellington. So you go there, you're nervous as all, and then they're like, all right, let's start clinging the glasses at mealtime, and you got to sing, and you think, I'm absolutely shitting myself.
Yeah,
You'd rather
worst thing.
It's
How
the
nervous
worst.
are you? You just hear these little noises and you're like, oh, fuck.
I think that could be the worst thing in football. Like the worst thing that exists in professional football is singing.
It's singing, yeah. So I got up, sang whatever I sang, and then like the nerves kind of dropped. So I was like sweet after that, because it's the initiation. So all the boys have done it, and like as soon as you get it done, you've got that breath of fresh air, bro. You feel 10 kilos lighter. You know what I mean? But yeah, so going on, Mulvey came in, gave me my first sort of debut against Wellington. I didn't play for a while in between games. Then I think towards the back end, when he was sort of on the outer, I think I was starting to play frequently, and then he got sacked for one reason or another. It was just after we won a championship, pretty sure. And then the club was without a coach, and we had Franz Tyson come in, and he didn't know any of the players, so it's just like he's just going to play whoever's in form. And just so happened to be that I was doing quite well at the time, and started me pretty much every game for his tenure that he was there. And then Aloisi came in. And yeah, with Ross as well, both believed in me and played me out wide on the right with Dimi Petratos, Jamie McLaren, and Thomas Broich on the left. And we did quite well. We made finals, but that was my sort of first real full season being a professional athlete. And it was wild. Scored some goals, played Asian Champions League, but it was very cool to see the likes of Thomas Broich sort of take you under your wing, and sort of not necessarily get the deal done for me to go to Germany, but put in a good word for the German teams that were asking about me. And it just so happened to be that Kaiserslautern was a good fit at the time. They weren't doing extremely well, but I thought I could get a sniff there, and then that's how it all came about, mate. There was nothing real fancy. Like I did well, played my role, but I was never really one to sort of make the headlines like the young boys now. You got Azani, Quall, and all that. I sort of just flew under the radar, which is probably the best thing for me.
Yeah, no, you guys had a fucking top team. I remember that Brisbane Roar team under Aloisi, and like that
slippery fish as well.
The slippery fish.
Off the bench.
That's a top front line, like for an A-League team. But go take us obviously now forward to Germany, because I remember you went over there. And from what I remember, I can't remember exactly, obviously you were there, but you weren't playing that much at the start, and then you sort of started to play and you started like scoring some goals. I remember one of the goals you scored was an absolute fucking worldie.
Miss it.
I remember waking up.
Stop it.
I remember waking up on Twitter, and you've got OS Aussies, and they're tweeting, Brandon Borrello's just scored this goal, and then again the next week, goal, and he started to score some goals. I'm thinking, fuck, he's doing really well over there. And then obviously the ACL happened. That's like, for me, like that's a bit of a strange one, obviously. So you've done your ACL, you're playing Bundesliga 2 at the time with Kaiserslautern. They get relegated. You do your ACL, but then you sign for a Bundesliga team. Like, it doesn't really make that much sense.
He's got a good agent. He must have a good agent.
Very good agent.
How did that work? Like, was there like a release clause if there was a relegation? Like, what was the go there? Because obviously, I know in Germany the injury, the insurance is a big thing over there. So did Freiburg take you on with like goodwill that, we'll take on your sort of your injury insurance, and then hopefully once you come good, you'll be like an asset for us?
Yeah, so look, I'll start at the start with Kaiserslautern. Like I was saying, I got over there. The coach sort of said, "You're not the player that I wanted. Where's the other guy? Where's the other Australian?" I said, he's over in Darmstadt, mate. Forget about me." And we started the season quite poorly. I just couldn't find confidence. I was even asking to play in the under-23s just to get games because I was just that frustrated. And after about 8 or 9 weeks, the first coach got sacked. And I'm thinking, all right, here's my chance. And they put in a sort of an unproven coach in. His name was Jeff Strasser. And like I said, I thought, you know what, here's my chance, train well, see if he picks me. And he actually picked me for my first game and played me at right back. I did well, made an assist. And then it's like, all right, I'm going to have to try and get out of this right back position because I don't want to be playing there, mate.
You don't want to get put back there.
The failed wingers.
Exactly. But I just made sure I was in all the finishing drills, making sure, hit the target and all that. And he pulled me aside and he goes, "Brandon, what's your position? Where do you play?" And I said, "Look, anywhere in the front line, play me and I'm happy." So he played me out wide on the left, and I was doing really well, scoring goals, like you said, Benny. And unfortunately, when we played Darmstadt, I think it was Jamie McLaren. I think he was at Hibs at the time, but we're playing his old team. He's had a heart attack on the pitch, so that game got cancelled. And after that, he was obviously not stood down, but I think it was in his best interest not to continue coaching for that time where he was getting checked. And I think, oh God, another coach coming in, got to do the same thing. And a bald guy, Michael Fonsek was his name. Is actually quite big in the realm of German football. Came in and, obviously looked at the games that we played. Even though I was scoring goals, we weren't picking up the results we wanted to. But he goes, "You know what, you're in form, I'll play you." And so he kept playing me. And then this is exactly how it went down with the ACL, mate. My family was over in Germany with me, and he's decided to rest me for a game. I'm thinking, oh, you got to be joking. My family's here, this is the only home game they're going to get to watch. He's resting me, so I was playing in the second team, and there was a bit of a loose ball, and there was a 50-50 with a big boy, and I've sort of, backed myself to go in. I've sort of gone in shoulder and shoulder, and my foot's just been stuck underneath me. And I've never had a bad injury in that sense, and I've heard a pop, and I've gone, oh, my knee. And I didn't realize that, like, you hear a pop necessarily, it's going to be the ACL. Yeah. So I've sort of had to, like, talk it through my head. No, it's nothing. So I got up. The physio saw me. He did the check. But in that period, it's like your muscles you've got the adrenaline. So they're not going to really see anything if it's that bad. And I trained for another 10 minutes, and that was it. And the physios have asked me, "Brandon, I don't think you're going to be all right for Friday night." I said, yeah, I'll be sweet. Just take me up. And they're like, nah, it's not happening, mate. It's not happening. So they sent me home on crutches, and I had to wait a couple of days to get the scan. And I got the scan, and the radiologist has said, here's where your ACL should be. It's not there. And I've just broken down, mate, because like, obviously we knew we were going to get relegated, and my contract was only first and second league. So if we got relegated, I was out of contract. And at the time, Freiburg was negotiating with Kaiserslautern. Maybe if the deal was done smarter, they could have bought me instead of got me for free. And the way it works in Germany is if you're injured for more than 6 weeks, the club doesn't have to pay you. That's why you're not allowed to set foot on a pitch until you're privately insured. So the insurance pays for your wages, pretty much. And so we got relegated. I wasn't under contract with anyone, and Freiburg took a chance on me, so they waited for me to get my surgery. Their doctors checked over the surgery, how it went. They were quite happy, and yeah, they signed me on a 4-year deal. And trusted a bit of belief in me with that first year. So I spent 4 months in a rehab facility over in Germany instead of coming back. They're like, you can go back, but I thought it was probably in better taste to stay there, learn German, make sure I was doing the right thing. And yeah, like I said, came back from the injury. Took me about 11 months to get back. The next season comes around, and I'm starting the first game of the Bundesliga. And yeah, it was wild, mate. So I played. I think that season where I came back, I played over 10 games. But yeah, like I said, the boys went on a run, and I just could not find my feet, mate. It was like the doctor was saying, you know, it might take you 11 months or 10 months to get back from an ACL, but it actually takes double that to feel completely normal. So I didn't actually realize that at the time, but yeah, I was probably too quick to pull that sort of loan deal to go to Dusseldorf, where I should have probably maybe just bided my time at Freiburg, make sure I went into another preseason fully fit, and you know, stayed in the top tier in Bundesliga. But it is what it is, mate. You can't say it's a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't regret anything. Like, it was, you know, playing football, you got all these chances to go somewhere. I thought, you know what, if I can make a name for myself, why not? But just didn't work out at Dusseldorf, and then yeah, so that's pretty much how I went at Kaiserslautern, and then to getting the deal done
That's not bad.
at Freiburg. It's not bad. Like,
It's not
Johnny
bad,
did
man.
well,
I'm
mate.
doing the ACL. I did my ACL in Scotland. When I came back, I was, hey, back to Australia, mate.
Yeah. Nah, it could have gone one of both ways, and it just so happened to go that way. So I'm really thankful for that. But yeah, it's not an easy one, because
And with that though, you know, like for me, like hearing that, obviously I knew it happened because I was following you along anyway with your journey. But how did you then go? Because you obviously did the preseason in the second year with Freiburg. You've done well enough to kind of earn that position for round one. Like, that's a big thing. Game week 1, if you're in the starting team, that means you've, you know, for 6 weeks you've had to impress, because you always want to start well. So why do you think it was that, you know, you were doing so well at the start? Was it that kind of just that, you know, when you come back from an injury, that adrenaline, you're kind of buzzing with it, and then like the grind sets in and you kind of don't have that endurance, or what was it, do you think?
No, it was exactly that, Steph. Like, I just don't think my body could have kept going. And you know, when you come back from the ACL, mate, it's not just your knee that you're worried about. It's all these other little components of your body that gets thrown out of whack when you've been in a brace for so long. So it was just the body was slowly falling apart, and it wasn't anything major. It was just like, how do I couldn't stay on the training park for a whole week without, you know, having a massage or having anything extracurricular, you know what I mean? So, and obviously, which is fair enough, I reckon the coach just, you know, sort of had to go in a different direction. And unlucky for me, like I said, the boys went on a run, and then I'm sort of trying to climb the ladder again. You just keep climbing, brother, and nothing was happening. So that's sort of how it went down. Which is why I say, you know what, if I stayed, did another full preseason, just worked hard on staying fit, maybe things could have been different. Maybe I'd still be over there, but it's all ifs and buts. So I'm happy where I'm at. You know, I'm happy I got the chance to play in the Bundesliga. Wouldn't take it back for anything.
What a dream. Who would have thought, I guess, you growing up in Salisbury playing for Modbury Jets, and then you're in the Bundesliga, like, you know, any kid, they would, you know, you take one appearance, let alone 10 appearances, and
exactly.
You know, the second Bundesliga. So it's, you know, I think as players, you know, you can't ever just look back and think, I regret this, because in the moment, the decision that you normally always make is what you think is the best one. And you're hungry, you want to play, you want to feel important. And if you're not getting that, you think, I'll go and prove myself somewhere else. So like, it was with the right intentions. It's just, nobody can tell what's going to happen in the future. Who knows that a coach is going to have a heart attack, potentially. Like, all these things that are out of our control, we just try and do our best. But there's so much in football that's out of our control, and that's probably the hardest thing. But you know what you've kind of shown there, and anyone listening, like any young players, is that, you know what, I loved hearing you say when you're at Kaiserslautern, you know, you weren't playing at the start and you asked to play in the reserves. So many players would be like, nah, fuck that, I'm not playing in the reserves, I'm a first team player, I'm too good for this. And then, you know what, you do your knee, and straight away you think, I'm not going back to Australia, I'm going to stay in Germany, I'm going to spend the time here, I'll do my rehab, I'll learn German. And you know what, I guarantee you, that's the reason why you've had the career you've had right now. And even though you're back in Australia, you're not just there at Bondi Beach having Coronas.
I'm out
You're
west,
putting
brother. Nowhere near the east, mate.
you're putting in the work, and you're producing, and you're back in the Socceroo. So like that's a massive credit to yourself, and I guess it's a good one for the listeners to kind of hear about the reason why some players kick on and keep working and keep getting better when they get setbacks, because setbacks are going to happen. That's the industry that we're in. So it's I don't want to praise you too much because your head won't fit through the door. And also, like, you're just recently engaged. You obviously met your partner, now fiance, over in Germany. So, it was obviously a turbulent time over there for you, but you say in life certain things happen for certain reasons. You obviously have your fiance now, which is obviously a massive part of your life, and she's come to live now in Sydney as well. So that's it's not all bad.
Nah, it's not all doom and gloom, mate. She's done really well, and to have that sort of
she's
backing.
done really well, or you've done
yeah,
really
she's
well?
done. No, she's done really well, mate. I'm a catch. But she's pretty much the first day she goes, Brandon. Doesn't matter where you go in the world with football, mate. I'll follow you. And I think that's one of the big things that I didn't have. Obviously, been in relationships beforehand. Went to Germany with a relationship, didn't work out, and so to have that actual backing behind you from your partner makes a massive difference. And you obviously get ums and ahs from her every now and then. I just want to go back home, but she gets it. So it's
she doesn't like Australia.
No, she does. She does. It took a little bit of convincing because you get sold that little dream of Sydney Harbour Bridge, Bondi Beach, and then I told her we're going out. I told her we're going out west. I told her we're going out west, but she rates it because I said no, we're not going east. We're not going east. I'm going to be with my people. So I was born in Salisbury Downs. I told her, you know what, we're going to Adelaide in the off season. I'll take you to where I grew up, and you'll see what I mean. Why I feel comfortable in the west. And she goes, yeah, fair enough. So she did rate Adelaide. She does like Harndorf the best. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you would. German arms. Maybe, you know what? You're off contract at the end of this year. Maybe you come back home to the Reds, huh?
Ooh. The Harndorf Rams.
She would love it. She would love it. And you know what? In Adelaide, you can live at the beach, live down at Henley Beach, and it only takes you an hour to get to Harndorf. Brilliant.
This guy, are you working for Adelaide
United?
United?
Are you working for Adelaide United, mate?
With my Melbourne Heart shirt on.
Nah, it's brilliant. You know what? That's perfect. That actually leads us into, I guess, firstly, what's the reason for you coming back to Australia? You spoke about, you're without a club. Why did you choose Australia? I'm sure there was potentially other options. And then why do you feel, because you obviously have a strong connection to, the West Sydney, even though you're not from there. So why is that? And, we'll touch on a little bit of the Derby stuff that happened last year in the interview. But yeah, why did you come back, and why do you feel that, I guess, it seems like an emotional attachment almost to the fans?
Yeah. No, so coming back, the decision was quite clear. So I was a part of. You look back now, this qualifying for the World Cup in 2026. If you look back for the qualifying, the first game of the qualifiers for the World Cup in the last World Cup, sorry, I was starting the first game, and as I was coming off contract in Germany, we were leading into the World Cup. They were playing their farewell game. All this and all that, and I thought, you know what, I need to get back playing and playing well, and I need a team, and not just any team though. I needed somewhere where I made sure, obviously, the national team coach was watching and felt was at a decent level. So coming back was a quick job. I spoke to our boss for 5 minutes on the phone. I'm like, all right, pack the stuff up, let's get back. I need to get into pre-season before the squad's announced for the World Cup. And albeit didn't have enough time to really sort of put a stamp on that position in terms of being a striker, because I was playing at winger with the Wanderers at the time, and the wingers in front of me that went to the World Cup were far outperforming than what I was doing. So that was the biggest reason. I think the next reason was, for so long there was this stigma of being comfortable in an uncomfortable environment, trying to challenge yourself and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, you know what, I'm at that stage now where maybe a little bit of comfort's good for me in terms of coming home. And it's not necessarily home, I don't have any ties in Sydney. I'm either Adelaide or Brisbane. But, when I got to the West, mate, the people sort of opened me, let me come in with open arms. And the culture that our boss sort of, made in and around that team and, made us understand who we play for in terms of the people of the West, hard workers and stuff like that. That was sort of a reflection of my game personally. And I felt like I could sort of connect with them on a sporting level, which is great because I learned in Germany, they really talk about, how do we see us as fans in players and the way they play football. Whereas in Australia, obviously the fan culture is a little bit different, but in Western Sydney, mate, it's almost on par with that German passion or that European passion. Whether it be the crowds or that's a different story, but the amount of passion these people have for Western Sydney Wanderers was ridiculous. So I'm like, you know what? Even if the year goes to shit, as long as I can, say at the end of the year, I put my hand up, I gave everything I could, then I'm proud of myself for it. And that was sort of the way I tackled last season. And obviously, I got some rewards from it, and that's just how I sort of connect with the people of the West, because I see, the work they do. We're privileged as footballers, so I make sure I step on that pitch and I'm ready to give everything. I think that's why we connected with the fans in the end.
Yeah, awesome. Go on, Ben. You can ask the first question.
Yeah, well, we've got some questions. Obviously, look, that's you've put that so well, and obviously you've come back, you've got yourself back in the Socceroos. You won the Alex Tobin last season, so it's obviously working for you, and it's turned out to be a great decision so far. And we've got a question here from Alex, which reads, "It's great to see your resurgence at Wanderers, Brandon. Has it been the change of position that has helped your form over the last season or so?" And obviously, you spoke. I remember you as a right winger. You played like your early professional days as a right winger and probably most of your career, and now you're sort of playing that central striker role. And yeah, how's that been for you?
Well, look, going through the state teams, all that growing up, right winger, and then I'm sure you remember as well, Benny and Steph, that when we went into national team setups, I was playing as a number 9, and it was nothing.
That's why we couldn't score. That's why we couldn't score in the national team.
That's why we never qualified for a big tournament. Huh?
It was 4-0 goals against 12. But we had some good trips down in Gelatissima, down in Sydney. Remember that in Barbacoa?
Yeah, that was mad. Star of the Sea was always the best. But so it was nothing that wasn't unfamiliar. It was just so I was playing in a Brisbane Roar team that had the likes of Macca, had the likes of Bessart Berisha, where I couldn't probably play the number 9. Where as in the youth team, I was playing number 9 and almost got what was it, Golden Boot or whatever, but I got Young Player of the Year instead, so I'll take that. But so it was sort of just like, I've played as a winger for a long time, and I never really had like the height or the body to do it. But I think as football's changed, the graft work that I put in from the front line, sort of learning to hold a ball up, get your backside stuck in, because you look at the players like Bruno Fornaroli, mate. I feel like he's one of the best in the league at, his back's to goal, holds the ball up regardless of how big the defender is. Just watching them, sort of understanding, I like when we played against him, mate. I was asking him like, how do you do it? And it's just good to sort of pick his brain, sort of just learn a bit from other players if I'm going to play that position, which, I think I do a good job at times. Obviously there's some aspects of the game, like where I'll ask Macca, where do you position yourself in the box to always be in the right position? And, these things you've got to work on. But, I think the resurgence from Western Sydney was definitely the shift of positions. I was doing okay at right wing, but I think for the better of the team, putting me up at 9, making sure we had runs in behind, just add a little bit of a difference towards our game in that middle in that final third was probably the biggest difference of the season. And they scored 1 goal, and then they started flowing through.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's just like you said, touched on. I think the game's changed a little bit, and especially the pressing from the front. Like that's probably the most important thing. And it's a little bit silly to say, but if your striker can't press well, then it ruins everything. But if your striker can press well, like even Gabriel Jesus from Arsenal, like he's not prolific in his goal scoring, and you're probably actually a little bit similar to him. Like he's a lot better. Let's be serious, but like. You're smaller. You can play on the wing. You can kind of drift. You work hard, and defensively, he's probably one of the best players on the field defensively. And you're the same. So I think it's good to see. And now you've when you're with the national team, you can play a few different positions, which I'm sure is one of the reasons why you're in there. So it's awesome to see. And now, but beyond the game on Wednesday night, I think it is against Palestine. You've got the big one this weekend. The Sydney derby, and whether your media team back home at Western Sydney will be happy, we're going to ask about it. Why did you feel the need after the game when you lost to hammer them? Was it something that you kind of thought about, or is it literally like I'm the same? Sometimes I say things on the field or after the game that I can't control. Was that what it was?
Look, don't get me wrong. It was probably like an out of touch comment, but
Perfect.
you know what? People want to slaughter me for it, but like, I still stick by it. We had one man down. They were playing, at our home, and we were battering them a bit. So it was just probably a little bit of frustration at the time. But I genuinely think you need a little bit of character in the game. Yeah, like when you do interviews and stuff like that, it can't just be monotone. Can't be the same answers. Where most of the time you give the same answers, but like in a moment of frustration, I think like fans from both sides want to see that. They want that sort of conflict, I think, in the game, and that's why I think the derby is now sort of getting back to where it was at the start. And I think it's great. And like I said, I stick by the comment. Obviously went wild, and then they posted something on Twitter about every goal they scored. There's bang average after it, and then we go and smash them 4-0 at home. So.
And then didn't they beat you in the finals though?
Doesn't matter, mate. Where did they end up in the finals?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Exactly.
But I think like it's brilliant. Like I love it. Like especially now being outside of the league, it's actually like I love when stuff happens on the field. Like even the Irukunda and the Chapman stuff the other week, and that. Like okay, I get some of it, but what happens on the field stays on the field for the players. But that then builds into the next game. The next Sydney derby after that, it's going to be on. Everyone, the media wants to be there because they've got headlines already written before the game starts. So, you know what? Keep going. And I reckon come out with something before the game this weekend and tell them how shit you think they are. If you want to drop a comment in here, just feel free.
No. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, mate. I'm just buzzing. I already get like shivers thinking about the game. So I need to sort of make sure I do a little bit of a head dunk before I go on the pitch. Otherwise, I'm overconfident, mate, and that always leads to poor performance.
You're not wrong. They're the best games. Like the derbies are the best games. I've never played in the Sydney derby, but the Melbourne derbies, even the original rivalry, Adelaide and Victory, which we probably went to so many of those games when we were younger. But they're the best games in the league, and that just adds a bit of fuel to the fire, which we don't mind on here. Last question or next question is from Mike. Any aspirations to get back overseas, and what was the best atmosphere you experienced when playing in Germany?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I still think, there's a little bit of time left in me to go overseas. But, obviously due to contractual situations, like if we were to stay here, we would happily. It just depends. I think going overseas now would be me choosing the right club. If I had, multiple offers, it would be choosing the right club in terms of, myself, my partner, our future family. But yeah, I don't think that candle's ever been blown out. I really enjoyed my time in Germany, to be fair. I could see us moving back there after football, just for that fact. But yeah, I sort of talked myself out of the question, but what was the second part?
He's tired. He's tired. Best atmosphere you experienced in Germany?
Best atmosphere. I'm going to say probably for Kaiserslautern. In the first cup game against Stuttgart, we packed out the Fritz-Walter Stadion, so the 2006 stadium where Australia lost against Italy on that penalty, mate. And it was the cup game, and it was wild. It went down to the wire as well. I think they beat us in like the last minute or so. And you got flares everywhere. You got people throwing beers at you in corners. after the game, we're like, the riot police have told us to stay in the stadium because they're throwing rocks at our cars. And then after an hour, we're allowed to drive home. Our captain gets followed to his house. He walks up to his stairs, obviously goes to bed, comes the next day into training. But, as he goes to open his car the next day, the steering wheel and the dashboard's been taken. It's been put on eBay. It's just, it's shit like that like you just can't compare, mate. It's actually wild. And obviously you got, fans that are going too far with it, fans that don't go far enough. But, there's that sweet spot of passion there, and you love it because there's
That's
never a
all
boring
right.
moment.
The steering wheel with the dashboard's okay. That's fine. Anything more than that, it's trouble.
Poor bloke.
Look
They put it
at
on
that.
eBay
That's
to
quality,
get to buy his
man.
own steering wheel back.
Bro, how do you take a fucking dashboard out of a car? Just take the wheel off. Just put the jack
Don't
underneath the wheel off and Bob's your uncle.
Don't ask, but it was banter. It was banter.
That's brilliant. And I think, you know what, we're never going to be able to create that atmosphere in Australia because it has to come natural. And we have the passion here. You saw in the World Cup, for the Women's World Cup, you saw in the Men's World Cup, the passion's here, but we're in a different environment. Flares over there, throwing beers at people, doing that stuff. That's looked at like, this is elite. This is what we want. We're in Australia. It's not acceptable. And so we have to recreate it. And you still need to keep a little bit of it, though, because Western Sydney, you look up at their fans and it's intimidating. Okay, if there's no flares, but the way they're singing, the way they're chanting, we spoke about it on a previous podcast. Like back in the day, when it was the old Parramatta Stadium, it's a scary place to go to. And that's what you want as home fans. You want to create that. Melbourne Victory, same. When they've got a full stadium, it's like, this is a hard place to come to. So we do have it. It's not the same as Germany and it will never be like that, but we can still create something. And that's, as players, that's the best thing when you walk out and you see the stadium full and you know how much it means to the fans, because when you're tired in the 89th minute or you're cramping, they give you that bit of extra energy. So hopefully when you get back anyway, I'm sure it'll be a sold out derby game and you'll be able to put in a shift for them. But we really appreciate you jumping on. I know, you probably got to get to breakfast now. Make sure you're not
I made
late.
sure I had breakfast, so I'm full and fit and ready for you boys. I haven't seen you in ages, mate. I was buzzing when I heard I got to come on the podcast. I was speaking of Benny. I'm like, boys, get me on. And then and then I had to clear it with the media team because they knew, it's Derby week. They're probably going to ask me some tough questions. But all in all, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a great time on the podcast. I wish you all the best in the future endeavours. Hopefully, you get some better players on. But yeah,
Juki and Borrello, we can't go any higher.
The Kings of the West, mate. Juki and Borrello. Nah, but I really love what you guys are doing. It's a breath of fresh air. I can come on here and talk, freely than what I normally would in terms of dealing with other media. But it's been great. So I'm listening all the time. I wish you all the best.
Awesome. Thanks. Good luck for Wednesday and good luck for the weekend. We'll be tuning in. Any predictions lastly? Juki had a hat trick. You got anything for us?
Juki had a hat trick. Where's his head at?
He wanted a hat trick.
He said,
close to be
hat trick.
Nah, mate, honestly, like I said, if we just win, I don't care. I genuinely don't care because that's all that matters at the moment. It's World Cup qualifiers, brother.
Yeah, that's it.
But I'll be happy with another one.
Get on the score sheet. We'll be cheering you on and all the best.
Cheers, boys. Have a good one.
Thank you, brother. See you later.
Football Friends with Ben and Stef is proudly brought to you by the Inner Game Journals, started by none other than our co-host Stefan Moore. The Athlete Performance Journals were created to help athletes of all abilities become more self-aware through goal setting and reflection. On or off the field, the mental side of the game is so crucial to help you feel and perform at your best. Head over to www.theinnergamejournals.com and use code FOOTBALLFRIENDS to get 15% off all products. If you're a club, school or academy, you're in luck. Stefan also runs workshops and he's just released the app version, which will allow you to give direct feedback to players. Download the app for free today. Search The Inner Game on the App Store.
What a good chat that was. You know what? I know we've said it a few times now. We said it after Joe and we said it after Juki, the best ones. And they're both probably going to... Well, Joe messaged after Juki saying that you're saying Juki's was better. Now we're going to say it again. I think that was the best one because we grew up with Borrello, and it felt like we were just chatting like normal. And what a guy he is, good banter. It's easy, and he spoke so openly, so that's great for the listeners.
No, that's all you want.
Yeah.
That's all you want when they're coming on, that they can feel comfortable to have a good chat. And yeah, Borrello's a legend, and what a journey! Honestly, what a journey he's been on. A lot of people probably don't know the ins and outs of it, so it's good to get that insight. Obviously, I learned even something with his move to Freiburg. So good on him, and we appreciate him coming on, especially being in camp at the moment.
Yeah. In Kuwait, you know what? To be fair, in camp, you have a schedule, and you're so like you check the schedule about 15 times a day to make sure. Like even though you know what time it is, lunch is 12. And then it's like 11:30 and you're like, I'll just check just in case. Like, it's not like the time's going to change, but you stress out. You stress out because if you're roaming on your own, you're thinking, fuck, like, I don't know, like, I'll just double check. But no, it was great for him to jump on. And just lastly, before we close out, for the people that are watching on YouTube or when they're seeing the snippets, we've got, not just the white and black tees on today. I've got my old Melbourne Heart jersey on. As you said earlier, I'm back in Adelaide. I'm at my mum's place. So I've gone and got the Melbourne Heart jersey on. It's tight, the Kappa fit. And what have you got on? The under-20s?
It's not as tight as mine. Oh, honestly, this thing, I don't know what size I was back then, but it doesn't fit as well now. I definitely couldn't wear this on the pitch, but I don't even know what this kit's from, to be honest. But I think it's probably the last time I put an Australia kit on, let's be honest. But I think I've got, what have I got? Number 42, Garuccio. So I don't know. It's from back in the day. It's an old kit. As I said, it's probably the last time I got a call up for any national team. So I'm just hanging on for dear life. And Borrello was on. He had the Aussie kit on. And I thought, you know what? Let me go and try and find something.
Let's get it on. And yeah, if you're listening on Spotify, go search the YouTube version to see what we're wearing. And we might even try and do this a little bit more while I'm down. You've obviously got all yours, but I actually, when I found this, I was like, I'll quickly go through the drawers. And I got everything, like from Adelaide City days, like the juniors, Sassy, AIS, all these crazy kits, even the Australia kits. Like when I was at the World Cup last year as a fan, I was like to my mum, I was like, Mum, go through all my kits and find me one that I can wear without my name on the back, because I didn't want to be like a pumper, but I actually wanted to support Australia. But what I didn't realize is it has like the different coat of arms on it. So like people were like commenting, like saying, oh, how good is this that, Stefan Mork's here supporting and he's got the coat of arms top on. Like must have been the one he played. And I was thinking, fuck, I didn't want to be a pumper about it, but people were loving it. So it actually worked out all right. But it's you know what, these are the shirts that we're going to have for the rest of our lives, and we can show our kids one day and always keep as memorabilia. So we'll start wearing them, and that will make everyone have to tune into YouTube and actually watch us and not just listen to us speak. And then they'll actually know who's talking as well.
Makes life a little bit easier, yeah, definitely. But I think I've actually got one downstairs I was looking at the other day, and it's a Melbourne Heart. It was like our alternate kit from probably that same season, but
the black
cool.
one.
No, it's like half sort of white. It's black here, white here, and then black down this bottom corner as well. Yeah. We wore it, I think, once, but I got it all signed, and like I was looking through, I was like, oh fuck, Harry Q was on there, so maybe I might have to chuck that one on next week.
Chuck it on eBay, make some cash for me.
Yeah, maybe. The only one that's worth anything on this Harry Q, so I'll maybe get some white out for everyone else's.
It's quality. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Ben's gonna do it like normal and tell us exactly where you can find us.
We are on all social media platforms as well. I've had a few people actually ask me. We're on obviously Spotify and Apple Podcasts, but you can find us on YouTube. If you don't have Spotify, if you're not an Apple user, you can obviously find us on YouTube as well. It's just Football Friends with Ben and Stef on YouTube. And then we're at Ben and Stef Pod on X, and we are at Football Friends Pod on Insta and also TikTok. So to keep up to date with all the latest reels, all the latest snippets and coming up, just follow us on any of our social media. We appreciate the follow, we appreciate the support, and keep flicking your questions through, because we love unpacking, some of these great questions that we get, and we love hearing from you guys. So thank you for tuning in for another episode, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks everyone.
Oh, friend.
Fuck you lot, where's the beer?